But I've been asked to come here today and talk to you about the mission I've been on for the last 17 years, and that's helping to clean up America's rivers, one river, one piece of garbage at a time. When I say one piece of garbage, I'm not talking just like pop cans and things that come out of Paul's pocket, like small stuff, even though we literally load barge loads of that kind of stuff up, and at one cleanup we could fill this room to the ceiling, no problem, in just a few hours. So, but what propelled me to get into cleaning up America's rivers was seeing thousands upon thousands of disregarded 55-gallon barrels, thousands of tires, thousands of appliances, seeing cars, trucks, tops of school buses, sunken boats, all that kind of stuff. And before getting into telling you about what the operation has grown into, started 17 years ago, and what the organization has grown into, tell you a little bit about my background, because it kind of explains how and why I've been able to go about helping to clean up rivers. Well, I grew up downriver in literally right on the banks of the river on East Moline, Illinois, by Davenport, Iowa. My parents' house is from here to that wall away from the river's edge. Spent a lot of time out there fishing, playing, swimming. I lived out in the country as like a country river kid. And when I was 15 years old, I got into commercial shell diving with my brother. We called it clamming. And essentially it's spending 8 to 10 hours a day on the bottom of the river. It's pitch black down there. You can't see anything. And I was diving for mussel shells to save money, selling them, save money to go to college once I was in college, to stay in college. And I did that for 6 summer seasons. It's a pretty sketchy operation. OSHA was nowhere near this whole deal, I'm going to tell you right now. You essentially have a go-kart engine running an oilless compressor that pumps air through a garden hose down to you. You're the anchor for the boat. You know, in this time of year, you know, the current's really fast. So you'd have anywhere from 80 to 100 pounds of lead around your waist. You have a mask on, but once you get 2 feet down, you know, I mean, it's pitch black down there. And you have little dish gloves on, those real thin little gloves. You get down there, you got a basket around your neck, you just crawl down the hose, you know. Then once you get to the bottom, you essentially try to get a grip on anything you can, because you're getting ripped down the current. And once you get a footing, kind of let things settle in, then you just keep your head down and you start feeling for mussel shells, grabbing each one, putting them in that basket till that thing fills up. You got another 100 pounds. Then you take it off, send it to the top. Ultimately, those shells were sold for the culture pearl industry, and that's how I was getting through college. And anyway, I did that for 6 summer seasons. Essentially, I crawled about a 150-mile stretch of the Mississippi on the bottom, so I got to know the river from the bottom up, okay? That's what I was doing in the daytime in the summer months, and then at nighttime, my brother and I would camp out on all these different islands, and that's really where I started to see all the garbage, okay? And I also dropped out of college to be a commercial fisherman. It's a great move. My parents were really pumped on me. They were like super pumped. Seriously, they were like, yes, great. Actually, they weren't, because they were both teachers. But anyway, no, then I worked on barges. I worked on barges running sand up the Illinois River, and all those experiences, I kept seeing all this garbage. And the more I started to focus on it, the more I wanted to do something about it. And it was actually, I was 17 years old the day I decided that I was going to clean up the Mississippi River. And long story short, there's a barrel pile that had been sitting there for probably 50 years. It was right by the entrance of Marina in my hometown in near Rock Island, Illinois. And I was coming back from shell diving. It's about 8 o'clock at night, still light, beautiful, you know. And it was a Friday. I was coming back, and there's 3 big yachts sitting there. People are hanging out, drinking, enjoying the river. And you know, the river always is, people think it's beautiful, but a lot of people think it's dirty, it's nasty, all that. So anyway, I'm seeing these people hanging out, and right next to it is this huge barrel pile, and I'm thinking, that's what the hell they're enjoying the river? Right next to this barrel pile. I'm like, who's going to clean that up? Like, no one's going to do anything about it. It's been sitting there for 50 years. I want to do something about it. And all those places I've been seeing, I'm like, I'm going to clean it up. So I started calling the state of Illinois. I called the governor, I called the DNR, the DOT, I called every acronym there was. And they all told me, who are you, kid? What garbage are you talking about? No, we don't have any money for such a project. And I got thinking, you know what? Well, I did call the governor, like I said. I called him at least 100 times. I mean, I never got through to him. He never called me back. But he's in jail now, so it's probably a good thing that he didn't just, yeah. We have 2 in Illinois. I don't know if they're cellmates, and I don't know why I did that, but I don't. It's a bad deal. But anyway, never call me back. But anyway, you know, I was thinking these people are in Springfield, Illinois at the state capitol. I'm out here on the river. I'm seeing this stuff firsthand. What I need to do is start showing them. So I started taking pictures of everything that I saw out there. barrel piles, you name it. And I put about 70 pictures together over 4 summer seasons, and with my intention of going back to the state, showing them what it was and how bad it was and what I wanted to do for it. And essentially, it sounds crazy, but it was a NASCAR race that started my entire operation, the entire organization. So walking through the living room, just ready to go back to the state, drawing up this poster about clean up the river, had all these pictures, walking through, and my college roommates just finished a NASCAR race. And if you've ever seen the end of a race, the guy does burnouts, you know, and then he goes up and he puts a sponsor hat on. He's got all these patches, and I'm thinking, I could wear patches. I'll get a sponsor. If a company will sponsor a race car, they'll sponsor river cleanup. I mean, it's the Mississippi River, okay? You know? I mean, I started looking into it. Mississippi River, it's one of the most famous rivers in the world. It's an American icon. I don't care where you are in the world. You could be at the most remote village in Africa. People have heard of the Mississippi River, you know? And I'm seeing it firsthand, and everybody knows it, but it's completely trashed. This needs to be cleaned up. So I got, where I'm from, 3 main employers there is Alcoa. It's world headquarters of John Deere, and they made Case IH tractors at the time. And so I'm thinking, Alcoa, you know, they start with an A. I'll start there. I looked them up. I picked one random department. I called them up. I said, hey, I got some random lady, and she's like, you know, hello. And I'm like, hey, my name's Chad Pregracke. I'm going to clean a 435-mile stretch of the Mississippi River. I was wondering who runs the show, who's in charge there, him or her, whoever it is. I'm going to talk to him or her. She's scared to death. She's not going to put me through. Anyway, after 2 minutes of begging her, she essentially says, fine, I'll put you through to Mr. Wilkinson. But she's like, but don't tell him who put you through. I'm like, no problem. So anyway, I got him on the phone. His assistant wasn't there, and I essentially, he tried to stump me. He's like, well, are you 501c3 tax deductible not-for-profit organization? Sorry, I have no idea who that is, but whoever, I can do that, you know, like I can be that. Listen, man, I just need 10 minutes of your time. He's still not feeling it. I'm like, listen, man, I live 10 minutes from you. I'm going to stalk you and wait by your car. I'm coming over there. I got to show you these pictures. And anyway, I got a meeting with him, and he said, fine, I'll give you 10 minutes on Thursday, and that's all it took. So I took those pictures in there. I showed him what it was and how bad it was. And essentially, he's like, this is, I can't believe they start flipping through. And, you know, I'm over his shoulder. That's over here. That's over there. That's down there. That's my dog. That's my boat. Flipping through. And he's like, get off me. Get back. Anyway, I was so pumped. I remember, like, you know. Anyway, here's the deal. It was a regular person, saw a problem, wanted to do something about it. You know, I had long hair, tucked it up in a hat. I was like, ugh, you know. And anyway, regular person wanted to do something about it. And it was simple for me. There was a problem, and I could do something about it, physically do something about it. And anyway, so I got a small sponsorship. He agreed. After he said, I want to help you out, but, you know, and he's like, you got to go back out and raise some more of the money you need. I needed $77,000. That was to pay a crew of 6 people, 2 work boats. I was going to clean from St. Louis to Guttenberg, Iowa. It'd be the largest cleanup that's ever been done in the history of the Mississippi River, right? So essentially, after 6 weeks of calling everybody there was to call, I was calling Nike in Seattle. I called them all, same thing, you know. But hey, I don't blame anybody from any business, any state agency. I was 22 years old at the time. Had never proved myself, let alone done the biggest cleanup that's ever been done. And but anyway, I crawled back in that guy's office. I don't know why you're interested in this, but I can't get anybody to help me. I was wondering if you'd help me out. It's like, fine, write me out a budget for just you going out there in the Quad City area, around the hometown, and cleaning up just with your boat you already have from shell diving. And anyway, so it was great. Went home, did that exact thing. It's awesome. Within the first, 2 weeks I was out there, people started seeing me. They called the media. The media was calling my parents' house. My parents were out of town. And so when they got home, which is great because I need a staging area for all the barrels and tires. No, they were not stoked. No, seriously. They were not happy when they got home. I'm going to tell you right now. They were not happy at all. But the answer machine was full of reporters, just, you know, local reporters wanting to do a story. It was against my better judgment, but my parents, you know, convinced me you can show people how neglected the river's been in the past, what you're trying to do about it, and it'll help the cause, help the mission. So, you know, against my better judgment, I listened to them the first time in 22 years. I called them back. I did a newspaper article. They sent it out in the AP, and the next day, I'm not kidding you, CNN's flying in. Peter Jennings was saying to Anderson Cooper when Anderson Cooper worked at ABC News, all these people are flying in. It was crazy. I was kind of like, I'll pick you up at the airport. We'll go out and pick some garbage up. I didn't think it was late breaking news, but that's cool. We'll do it. And that's exactly what I did. What I didn't realize was how much that would help get the message out there and how much it would sort of start a movement right off the bat. And I just had no idea. So I did that, and it did. It started a movement, and within like a short period of time, it was so overwhelming with how much garbage there was. Like in some of the places I'd never been, I just wanted to clean it up. So let's roll that first. I'll just give you an idea when I'm talking about garbage. This is one spot. That's 12 foot of water by where that tire is there, and then it goes to shoreline, and it fluctuates. That's down by Memphis, and that water fluctuates up to 40 feet down there, and the garbage just goes up and over the hill, and it goes on like that for miles. And anyway, so seeing a lot of different sites, a lot of trash places, I was like, want to do it. So 18 million people get their daily drinking water out of the river every day, I learned. And I'm thinking, that doesn't look like great drinking water. So I do those, essentially I do the videos, and it really helped get it going. All these people wanted to come out and help out after the newspaper articles and everything. So I decided I'll just advertise in the paper and do a cleanup and see what happens. And what happened was really cool. Right off the bat, one of the first ones I did, like tons of people from the community came out. And what we did essentially with our boats is we took them out to places that aren't accessible by land but are completely trashed, and we gave them an opportunity to do something positive for the river. I mean, it went over real. People were stoked. I mean, and we were too. I was getting 100 times done what I could do in that same period of time. I mean, it was really impactful. I mean, one lady was so like into it. I mean, she was out there biting a barrel. Just joking. No, that was in my dreams last night. It was lonely. Anyway, no, but seriously, people were super pumped. And I'm thinking if it worked all the way, if it worked in our hometown, it'll work all the way up and down the Mississippi River doing community cleanups. And I also learned right off the bat that if you guys are in business, you realize that if your operations are not efficient, they will cease to exist pretty fast. And the way we were cleaning up the river was totally inefficient, right? We were only spending half of our time on the water, because the other half of the time we're trying to get rid of all these things. The tires, the barrels, all these different things go different places, trying to recycle everything we can. So we're only spending half of our time. How can we spend all of our time on the water? Does anybody remember that New York harbor barge floating around back in 1987 full of garbage? Raise your hand if you remember that. Yeah. Why? Why do you remember that? I mean, I was 13 years old. I wasn't even into barges or garbage, and I guarantee you've seen a lot more newscasts that are a lot more pertinent to your life than some garbage barge, okay? But people remember it. So I'm thinking, man, if I had a barge, that would serve a lot of purposes. I could double my capacity to do more. I could spend all my time on the river. I could unload one time a year instead of half the week, right? And what the barge might do is make a statement about our rivers without me even having to say a word. What I mean by that is we made small piles at each of these town fronts, and then, hey, man, did you just yawn? Listen, it's contagious. I yawn, everybody yawns in here. Might as well go on vacation now. And I got another thing too. I mean, when you look at me, you probably think steel, right? But I do have a heart, and that hurt. I was just getting to that pivotal point. I don't even know where I was. Thank you. No, but barges. So I need a barge. It's gonna make a statement about our rivers, right? The little piles I was making in communities, people would come down there, they'd look at the pile, they'd look at you, they'd be two things. Disgusted it came out of their drinking water, and two, they'd want to help out in some capacity. So I'm like, you know what, if I could take those smaller piles, put it on a barge or barges, unload one time a year, that would really make a statement about our rivers. And so anyway, that's essentially what I did. I started calling different barge companies, and I ended up getting a few barges that year, and started using them as a focus, doing community cleanups. And I want to show you where the operation is, because I have a limited amount of time. Just tell you, that's another shot. That's a slough that goes on for basically a few miles. That's 9 foot of water. Let's go to the next one. Here's where the operation is today, okay? And here's where the organization is. From 17 years ago, regular person, saw a problem, wanted to do something about it. I'm going to guarantee right now, I'm not the smartest person in the room. There's just no way, okay? But smart enough to know that I need help, and that's the best thing I got going for me. Now, with the help from 70,000 different volunteers we've had since we started, we've done almost 800 cleanups, 20 rivers, 23 states, and 70,000 volunteers. We basically went from boatloads to barge loads, okay? And essentially, sometimes we can fill that up. We can do 7 to 9 barge loads a year, and at some cleanups we can fill one barge in 3 hours, completely full. So it'd be like this room, like almost completely full. So, are we making a difference? Because I asked your dad, where is he? Yep. I asked you, well, what do you want out of my talk? And he's like, well, I just want to know making a difference. That's what I want to kind of know about. I'm going to tell you what. I don't care how big the problem is. I don't care what it is. You can make a difference. You really can. I've seen it firsthand. Now, change is sometimes slow, okay? It's slow, but it builds momentum like a train or a barge. Once it builds that momentum, it's hard to stop. And that's how this whole deal has been. I thought, yeah, I can clean it up so fast, but it's taken a long time. 70,000 volunteers I've worked side by side with, and I'll tell you what, it's not really relative, it's just something I think about a lot. I'm thinking, I'm seeing the best of Americans, the best of the people who get up early, bring their kids down and clean up, a million other things they could be doing, thinking I'm seeing the best of Americans. And then I think of the judges and police officers. I'm like, they see the worst. How do they stay like super motivated? I don't know. It's really not even relevant to this. I just want to throw that in there. Some of my thought. It's kind of like the furniture deal. I'm all over the place. But anyway, it's the only river cleanup operation like in the world. We go town to town, city to city. Are we making a difference? Absolutely. I've seen it from here all the way to St. Louis. I feel like we've made the biggest difference. Most towns we went to, sometimes 5 years, 10 years, time after time again, we don't even go back to because there's nothing to clean up. It seriously has worked. And that's not just me. That's the media. That's all the people. That's change. And it really has happened. And I'm glad to be a part of that. I'm certainly not taking credit for that. 70,000 people is who makes it happen. But getting back to you. Whatever it is you care about, you guys, you're leaders. I mean, that's what this is, right? I mean, or you're going to be after the 7 steps. There's a little plug for you. But anyway, this is the deal. You're in this room because you are of some importance. All right? And I'm just saying, like, you guys are in a great position to make change. So what I would do is suggest, and maybe I'm preaching to the choir for some of you, but if there's a cause that's dear to you, I would encourage you, like Terry or Rick, to seriously get involved with that cause. Just think about what's dear to you. It could be homeless, it could be kids, whatever it is. Like, use your talents to make the world a better place, which sounds cliche and all that, but I know it does. But it's seriously, you can do it. If everybody in this room just went back out in the community and like did twice as much as they're doing now and really got involved and used their talents, even if you're good at like data processing or something that you don't think, every organization needs your talents. I know from personal experience. So I'm just saying, get involved, take action, really. And here's the thing, I don't have a great ending for you because I've been doing this 17 years and I feel like I'm just getting going. And there's so many more rivers to do, so many more people to work with, and so many places to make change. And but I do appreciate your opportunity to be here today. I appreciate your guys' support, Cargill's support. Like, it's all about teamwork. By the way, that is the name of our new barge. It's teamwork. And anyway, there's so much other things we do too as an organization, but I'll spare you because it's not about me. It's about all of you making a difference. And I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Thank you so much. Thanks, dude. Thank you. Thank you.